After days of wandering, Nkem stumbled upon the edge of a dense forest. The towering trees loomed like sentinels, their branches intertwining to form a canopy that blocked out the sunlight. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and the distant calls of unseen creatures. With nowhere else to turn, Nkem ventured into the forest. She quickly learned that this place demanded both respect and caution. The forest was alive, watchful, almost sentient. The crunch of her footsteps seemed to echo louder than they should, as though the forest itself was listening. On her second night, as she huddled beneath the gnarled roots of a massive tree, she was awakened by the sound of growling. Her heart raced as she peered into the darkness, where two glowing eyes stared back at her. A leopard, sleek and powerful, emerged from the shadows. Nkem froze, her breath hitching in her throat. She remembered the elders' tales of leopards being sacred creatures, messengers of the gods. Summoning every ounce of courage, she lowered her gaze and whispered, "I mean no harm, Great One. I am only passing through." To her astonishment, the leopard didn't attack. Instead, it circled her once, its gaze inscrutable, before vanishing into the darkness. Nkem took it as a sign, a silent acknowledgement from the forest that she was being watched, perhaps even protected. It was on the 12th day of her exile that Nkem encountered Edeora again. Weak from hunger and exhaustion, she stumbled upon a clearing where a small hut stood. The hut was unlike anything she had seen, adorned with charms made of bones, shells, and feathers. Smoke curled lazily from its thatched roof, carrying with it the scent of herbs. A bent old woman emerged from the hut, her eyes sharp and piercing despite her wrinkled face. She leaned on a staff carved with intricate symbols. "You are far from home, child," Edeora said, her voice raspy yet commanding. "The forest does not welcome strangers easily. How is it that you are still alive?" Nkem fell to her knees, too weak to speak. Edeora studied her for a moment before motioning for her to enter the hut. Inside, the walls were lined with dried herbs, animal skulls, and pots filled with strange concoctions. "You carry a heavy burden," Edeora said as she handed Nkem a bowl of steaming soup. "Eat, and then tell me your story." Over the weeks that followed, Edeora became both a mentor and a mother figure to Nkem. The old woman was a seer and healer, renowned among those who dared to venture into the forest. She taught Nkem how to survive, not just to endure, but to thrive. "You have a gift," Edeora said one day as they gathered herbs. "Your beauty, yes, but also your spirit. You are like the rivers, calm on the surface but with currents that run deep." Under Edeora's tutelage, Nkem learned to read the language of the forest. She could identify plants that healed and those that poisoned. She learned to track animals, build shelters, and navigate by the stars. The forest, once a place of fear, became her ally. But it was not just the practical skills that Edeora imparted. She also taught Nkem about resilience and inner strength. "The world will always find ways to challenge you," Edeora said. "But you must remember who you are. Do not let others define you. Let the fire within you burn brighter than their doubts." One evening, as Nkem and Edeora sat by the fire, the old woman handed her a drum carved from baobab wood. "Play," Edeora instructed. Nkem hesitated, unsure. But as her fingers began to tap the drum, a melody poured out of her, a rhythm she didn't know she possessed. Edeora joined in, singing in a haunting voice that seemed to echo through the trees. The forest came alive. Fireflies danced in patterns, and the wind hummed through the leaves. Nkem felt something stir within her, a connection to the land and its spirits. "You are more than your beauty," Edeora said as the music faded. "You have a voice, a power that can heal and inspire. Never forget that." One fateful night, a violent storm swept through the forest. Lightning split the sky, and thunder roared like a lion. Nkem and Edeora huddled inside the hut, but a sudden gust of wind blew out the fire and tore the roof apart. As the rain drenched her, Nkem felt a surge of energy. She ran into the storm, her arms outstretched, as if embracing the chaos. In that moment, she had a vision. She saw her village, Isioma, suffering. Children cried from hunger, crops withered, and the once thriving land lay barren. She saw her mother, Ngozi, kneeling before the elders, pleading for forgiveness. And she saw Obiora, his face twisted with anger and jealousy, plotting further harm. When the vision ended, Nkem collapsed to the ground, her chest heaving. Edeora found her there, drenched but glowing with a newfound determination. "The time has come," Nkem said. "I must return home." Edeora nodded, though sadness flickered in her eyes. "Go, my child. But remember, the path back is not just through the forest. It is through the hearts of those who wronged you. Walk it with courage and grace." Nkem's decision to return to Isioma was not one made lightly. The vision of her village's suffering weighed heavily on her heart. Yet she knew the journey back would be fraught with dangers, not just from the forest she now called home, but from the people who had once turned against her. Edeora, though reluctant to let Nkem go, prepared her for the journey. "Take this," the old woman said, handing Nkem a bundle wrapped in woven leaves. Inside were dried herbs, charms for protection, and a small blade forged from a meteorite stone. "The blade is not for violence, but for survival. Use it wisely." Nkem embraced Edeora tightly. "I will return to you, Mama," she whispered, using the affectionate term she had come to call her mentor. Edeora's eyes glistened with unshed tears, but she nodded. "The spirits favor the brave," Edeora said, her voice steady. "Go now, my daughter, and may the wind guide your steps." The path back to Isioma was unlike the one Nkem had taken when she first wandered into the wilderness. The forest, once an enemy, now seemed to watch over her. Birds sang soft warnings when danger approached, and the rustling of leaves guided her toward clear streams and edible plants. But the journey was not without trials. On the fourth day, as Nkem traversed a narrow ravine, she heard the unmistakable growl of a hyena. The creature emerged from the shadows, its eyes glowing with hunger. Nkem froze, gripping the meteorite blade Edeora had given her. She knew she could not outrun it, and the hyena's low growls told her it was ready to attack. Summoning her courage, Nkem crouched low and locked eyes with the beast. She began to hum the rhythm Edeora had taught her, a melody that seemed to resonate with the earth itself. The hyena paused, its ears twitching at the sound. Slowly, it backed away, retreating into the shadows. Nkem's heart pounded, but she kept humming until she was certain the creature was gone. "Thank you, spirits," she whispered, her voice trembling.